For British politics too, current churn within the Conservative Party establishment has left Prime Minister Boris Johnson with no option but to resign. 60 of his government colleagues have deserted him, citing multiple blunders, including inaction and complaints of sexual harassment, policy differences and transgressions in matters of propriety. And resign he did, accepting his fate and promising his support to whoever replaces him. Now, the question is, who's going to replace him? There is a huge amount of speculation, viewers, that there are, and this could be unprecedented, among the front runners, some that have South Asian origins. Rishi Sunak, the man on your screens, is one of those front runners. What are his prospects and chances? There are others from the subcontinent. Sajid Javid, who's of Pakistani origin. And yet, there are more. Preeti Patel, who was very recently the Home Minister, the Home Secretary. Let's analyze a little bit about whether these people actually have a shot at power. And if so, what is prompting Britain to turn towards citizens who are a minority to lead their country? Obviously, viewers, they would say that once you become a British citizen, you're colourless, you're raceless, you're British first, and that's all that matters. In India, of course, viewers, there's been a huge debate about Sonia Gandhi's origins, and I'm just trying to draw a parallel here. So let me just go straight across to our guest, Dr. Matt Cole, historian who joins us. Dr. Cole, thank you very much. What are the prospects of someone of Indian ethnic origins becoming the Prime Minister? This is obviously an issue which is exercising a lot of Indians here in our country.
The prospects are better than they've ever been, simply because of the number of candidates from ethnic minority backgrounds in Britain, but also because of the way in which the culture of politics has changed in Britain. You have to remember that until 1987, every member of Parliament, with some rare historical exceptions, had been white. And the growth in the number of ethnic minority members of Parliament has followed a generation behind the growth in the population of those families and individuals who've come from South Asia to build a life in Britain, and who have, over the intervening period, integrated into and expressed their voices through the British political system, so that we now have over 50 out of 650 members of Parliament who are from ethnic minorities, and in the cabinet and the shadow cabinet, the leadership of the Labour Party, a significant number of representatives of those minority groups, including, of course, Rishi Sunak, a number of other figures representing those with Indian heritage and family connections.
Well, he's amongst the four which are odds-on favourite to become the next Premier. Your assessment on his chances, realistic?
Well, his chances until very recently, until the so-called Partygate scandal, would have been very good. He's regarded by the population as a serious, informed, expert manager of the economy. He was very much in the public's appreciation for his management of the economy during the pandemic, when he made sure that furlough payments for people who weren't able to work, were made quickly available and were continued throughout the pandemic. However, two things have happened since the end of the pandemic and the lockdowns in Britain. One of them is that as Chancellor, he has obviously had to deal with the constraints on the economy and the need to claw back public spending and the need to have fiscal rigour and to contemplate higher taxes. National insurance, for example, has gone up, which has made him unpopular, unsurprisingly. He, secondly, was peripherally associated with the so-called Partygate scandal, the social events that went on in Downing Street during the lockdown period, and where members of the Prime Minister's staff and the Prime Minister himself on one occasion were given a number of fixed penalty notices by the police for having broken the regulations that they themselves had set. Now, Rishi Sunak was only at one of those events, a brief birthday party for the Prime Minister. He wasn't held to have been particularly responsible for any extravagant behaviour. Right. However, he's affected by his association with Boris Johnson, who, of course, has now just resigned, but with an echo, a shadow of the same reputation. And so he will have to show that he's got an economic plan, first of all, which he made it very clear he had in his resignation letter, but also he's going to have to convince the British public that his association with Boris Johnson was only minimal.
Interesting times. We've had a political coup of sorts. Interesting times, some unprecedented times, because many people now wonder if Boris Johnson is entitled to stay on as caretaker. Many people say that he should immediately evacuate office because he's lost the confidence not just of his party, but also lied to the public. Well, viewers, we'll keep tracking Rishi Sunak and others. It could be monumental, and it could be very emblematic of the way British society is evolving now in the 21st century. We leave it at that. Thank you very much.